Welcome to Find It this evening. I'm so excited to be here and to have you all here. And our special guest tonight is Patricia Wynn Brown. And let me tell you, she is a wonderful, amazing woman with everything she's done in her life and what she is currently doing, which we will find out about. And I have a very special connection to her that we will share with you in a few minutes. She is an award-winning essayist. She is an author. She's a performer and a speaker and a whole lot more than that. So you just wait, hang tight. We're going to show her intro and she will be right back with us. Hello, Pat.
Hi, Debbie. How are you? That was interesting to see. Did you make that with your own little hands or did Lynn help you?
Producer Lynn does her magic.
That was
I
cute.
just send her what I want and she makes the magic happen.
Wonderful.
So, I know. I love it. But I'm so happy you're here and I've missed you. You guys, I met Pat. Well, how long ago has it been now? A few months. It was last year.
It was before Christmas.
Yes. And she and I, let's just say it. Hey, it's Find It. So how did we find one another?
We found each other at prison.
We found each other at prison. Who knew? The secret's out, people.
That's it. But they let us out. They let us out.
They let us out. They didn't.
The Ohio Reformatory for Women. The Ohio Reformatory for Women in Marysville, Ohio, where I do a project. I invited Debbie. I saw an article about her in the paper and her wonderful work. And I invited her, and she didn't know me then. And she said, I do want to come. And she was a complete hit. And the women loved her in our class.
I loved them too. So let's explain to everyone, because this is something you currently do and have been doing for a while. There's a lot more we need to tell you guys. But can you please explain to our audience what you actually do at the women's prison in Marysville?
Well, I got connected with it through Harmony Project community choir that I'm in and my husband, and they do work in the prisons and have choirs in the prisons. And so about 2015, I started doing my hair theater show with the cosmetology students at the prison, hair theater beauty school show, and then saw how they acted on stage and presented themselves in a whole different light. So I said to the warden, I'd like to do a charm school, presenting yourself to others, called Ladies of Success. That went through a year approval process.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then we started, and I'm beginning my 10th group this March, later in March. Then Debbie was good enough to come and be our guest speaker that day. And the women learned so much and were so inspired by you. Oh. They loved not just the way you looked and the way you stood on the stage that we have, the stage of before, but the stage nonetheless. And your message of inspiration for them. So thank you, Debbie, for that. Thank you so much.
Well, I thank you for the opportunity. And for me, and we were talking about this before, but I want to share with the audience that for me, I knew that I wanted to go and I wanted to do this. And when I did, I felt like I got more than what I gave. That's how I felt. And I was worn out. I told you I had to take a nap when I got home. I was completely emotionally exhausted because of not just what I saw and witnessed, but because my heart was so warmed by how well received I was and the message that I got to say this. I was able to watch you, Pat, prior to you introducing me to come on stage to talk to the women. And what this charm school is, I didn't understand, and you guys don't know until you see Pat in action. I said, you're so poised, but you have so much humor. And it's like a really smart humor. And you played the ukulele and you sang with the girls. You taught them French. You had open Q&A and you had them answer questions from the prior charm school session to see if they remembered. And when I was watching them watch you and interact with you, I was really invisible. I was sitting over here. They were completely focused on you, Pat, because, and I kind of was too, because you're very entertaining and you were really teaching them something. I was just so impressed. It was incredible. And then you even did how you sit, how you present yourself when you walk, and how you greet someone and saying please and thank you and all of these things was just incredible. So I am so appreciative for the experience and to say they gave me so much in return.
Well, it's interesting because the very things that you're just talking about, Debbie, and I tell the ladies this the first day of class, and the way they are the first 10 minutes of class and the way they are after the 5 sessions is a whole different ballgame. But I tell them these are the things that the nuns taught me. And I'm a kid who grew up on the west side of Columbus, and and there'd be like 40 kids in the class. And
Mm-hmm.
nuns would hold a pin out of their habit, hold it aloft, drop it to the linoleum, and say, if I can't hear this, nobody's going out for recess. I've
Mm-hmm.
got to be able to hear this pin. And I tell them that because I'm not trying to control them or to do a power play, but I have found in my life, and you have seen this in me, Debbie, self-discipline and being able to set goals for yourself and to be able to better yourself is how we do find it in life. And to me, when I set my goals for ballet or I set my goals for learning my songs for Harmony Project, I'm very methodical about it. And to me, that's the way I find it. And so I tell them that this is how you will find success. And if you stick with this, and you need to be on time for class, and you need to pay attention in class, and you need to respect the speaker or the guests that we have, and they learn to become good audience members. They're the best audience members the entertainers have ever had when they come. They say the energy, and that's what you felt when you came home and you were tired. They are taking from you all the energy, the new energy that you bring into them, and they're giving you everything that they have. And that energy exchange will really, it's like a birth, or it's like running a marathon. You will be exhausted afterwards. And I'm exhausted afterwards too.
I agree. And
Yeah.
I think on our way home, because I went to your home, you and your husband
Yeah.
drove me to the prison, you have to be able to get in. I mean, I can't just drive in there.
Right.
And, we had to go through the metal detectors and all of that. But
Yeah.
I think when I told you, when we left, I was like, I felt like I was like the energy in the room. I felt love. It was a good energy that I felt in
Yes.
a women's prison. So that also was like really inspiring and moving to me. But it was really impressive to see you with those women, and also to realize that a lot of them will never be out of jail, out of prison.
Some of them are lifers. There are 2,500 women at the ORW in Marysville, and about 300 lifers are there. And there are lifers, and there are women who come in, maybe be there a year or two, and then they leave. It's a variety of women.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite comments was from a woman who'd been in there for 14 years, and she said she had not laughed since she came in those doors until she came to Ladies of Success. And I thought, that's good, because to me, humor is a sacrament. Humor is a very precious gift. And Erma Bombeck, the humorist, said, when humor goes, there goes civilization, because we need it. We need it to get through hard times. When we're going through our hardest times in life and we can't find humor in it, that's how we know our spirits are really crushed. And we can tell when our loved ones are getting better when they're able to laugh again, when they're able to find that laughter in life.
That is so true and well said. Thank you for saying that. So, but I guess too, back to the prison part of it is, it was inspiring to see. And I know one of the women I talked to afterwards, when I said, how long do you have to be here? And she said, oh, I'll never be free. And that also impacted me, because I thought, here she is in Pat's charm school. She still wants to be better, even though she's going to live behind bars, she still wants to grow as a person and be better and live the rest of her life out the best that she can. And that inspired me to say, look what all I can do. I'm free.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, on those down days, remember these women who will never be free.
I think too, Warden Terry Baldoff there and the previous Warden Ronnie, make the prison experience one of rehabilitation for the
Definitely.
women. And if you're going to be there for life, if you're going to be there for 12 months, it's a matter of they want you to come out of there healthier than when you went in. And a lot of the women go into the prison and in class have told me, prison saved my life because of the structure, because of the safety factor, because of 3 meals a day, and because there becomes a sisterhood there, and the women help each other. It's not Orange is the New Black. A lot of times it feels like a college campus because of all the classes that are going on and the things that their dogs there that they're training the dogs, and their horticulture people planting flowers, because that's what we want to do. If somebody's done something wrong, we want them to learn to be able to be a contributing member of society. And you don't do that by just laying punishment, and separation from society onto somebody and denigration. We want to build that person up to be the person that they were meant to be.
Oh, that is beautiful. And we have to remember too that not everyone has had the upbringing and the support system that maybe we have. And we will say, well, why did they go and do that? Well, they did. And now they're paying the price and they want to grow and be better and be a better person in society. Like you said, that's beautifully said, Pat. I couldn't agree with you more. And I praise that facility for doing what they do and having like you come in. And I know several of the women told me that your charm school is the highlight of their life. Like that is what they look forward to. So, oh, I'm just so happy that I was able to be a part of it. And I'm going to put a picture up of us. This is getting ready to get in your car.
Okay.
And we are heading to the prison.
To prison.
It was a really rainy morning on my trip there. And I was just like, I'm going to get there. I was never so happy to get in your car and you and your husband drive me to where I needed to go.
You were a very brave woman because that was a terrible weather day. And Debbie came from Chillicothe to Columbus. And I've made that drive. It's not the safest drive anyway. Sometimes the roads are a little bad. And you're a very brave woman. So it's not like, you're timid or something. And you were able to brave that weather, and it was a nasty day. And I have to say, for my husband, Captain Stevie, who goes to the prison with us and helps us, and the women love him not just because he's handsome and he's kind, but he's a good man.
Yeah.
And that warden likes that they can see a good man, and this is what a good man does. And he's also the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus for the nursery, because there's a nursery with babies and mothers there and they have to meet certain requirements if they've come into prison pregnant. Sure. And then he goes over and then holds the babies, and just like you would at a mall, have your picture taken. So hats off to Captain Stevie too.
Steve actually came in and said, we were at an event earlier this week and a former inmate came up and reintroduced herself to us. This interaction makes the work so worthwhile.
Yes, she was released from prison and got a job with a catering service. She recognized Steve first and then saw me, because I changed my hair about every other minute. And so I had different hair than then. And she talked specifically about how the class helped her. And I cannot express to you how that made me feel inside.
You make an impact. You're a big impact. And two, I have to say this again. During your charm school, I sat over on the side, mesmerized by you. Now, listen, I'm not just saying that because you're here and I wanted you on my show. I knew it for sure. I was like, oh my gosh, this woman, like she is, wow, like, wow. And I kept looking at your husband. And he was sitting over there with me. And I said, she is something else. Wow. And then you got that ukulele out and you're teaching them French and you're showing them how to walk. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to follow this. What are you talking about? But okay, so this is a segue about the hair when you're talking about your hair. Okay, so what inspired this? This is a book you've written, Harabaloo.
Harabaloo, because in my life, it's been all about the hair.
Yeah.
And, you know, it started with me with the Supremes and the hair and the hairbrush as a microphone, and went on to, I sort of have that girl hair today. I have Marla Thomas hair
I
today,
know,
kind
it
of
kind of does.
flipped
It's
up
good.
a little
Yeah.
bit. But everything was about hair when I was growing up, and ratted hair, and the higher the hair, the closer to God.
Yeah, amen.
We couldn't rat it up for the nuns, but I started my hair theater shows in about 2000, and I tell the stories of my life through the evolutions of my hairdo. And then the book was a result of all of that, which was sort of the stories and background about hair and hair history. But when I do the shows, it's very interesting. It's not too distant from prison shows in that a woman inevitably will come up to me at the end of the show. Would happen every single show. And she would say to me, I needed that laugh more than you'll ever know. And I tell them, I know what you're talking about. And I had one show that was based on my Mama Culpa book that is about bringing up our son. And it was this big crowd. And there was a woman in the front who had lost her hair to chemo because she had a scarf. You could see that she had lost her hair to chemo. And she was laughing so hard and holding her side. Oh. And then she'd stop laughing. And I stopped the show. And I said, are you okay? And she said, keep going. Keep going. And so I did. But I thought, good. Because I used to have terrible stage fright. I still have stage fright, but I
would never have known that.
Real bad. I had one line in the high school play, in The Mouse That Roar. I was to come out as the secretary and say, the jet planes are overhead, sir. And I came out, and my parents were in the audience, and it was a rare appearance for them at school. And I looked at this guy playing the president, and he looked at me, and I looked at the guy, and he looked at me. And he knew I wasn't going to say anything. Oh. He said, well, are the jet planes overhead? And I went,
no.
So I was phobic. I became phobic about it. And to this day, I have trouble memorizing lines. I have a lot of trouble memorizing lines. But with doing the shows, if I do the show and I have a mission of raising spirits, I can do the show. If I'm doing the show to entertain and have people love me, no.
Okay, got it.
No. I can't do that. No.
Wow. Yeah, there has to be a cause. Mission. It's for the cause and the purpose.
For the good of the cause. For the boys.
That's good. Well, now the hair, you did this theater for 15 years, am I correct?
15 years across the country.
Many
events, many cities from New York to California. I did one event in upstate New York that I'm really happy about, because the headliner at the event for a conference was Lucy Arnaz, Lucille Ball's daughter. So we had lunch with her. Captain Stevie and I had lunch with her on several occasions, and she wrote a little blurb for me about my show and everything that I could use when I was doing the show. But I've performed in Paris for the American Church, and I did a little tiny hair theater in Scotland, and it seems to transfer. It seems to.
Oh yeah. The fact that you're going on in your hair throughout your life and what it meant. But now tell me a little bit about, there was a time in your life where you realized you were sick.
Yeah.
Did you lose your hair?
Well, I was told, which I didn't even know what they meant, that I had malignant melanoma, being this little fair-haired sun bunny that I used to be, not anymore. And so I said to the doctor, a nurse was holding my hand, and I was there by myself, and I said, is this serious? Yeah. Don't you just have those taken off? And he goes, no, malignant melanoma is very serious. And my first question was, would I lose my hair? And the second question was, will I die? But I did not lose my hair. And I just had surgery. And then I got it again, and then I had surgery again. So I never lost my hair. But for the shows, I did a lot of fundraisers for women who had lost their hair to chemo. And I raised $300,000 for Women for Wigs who couldn't afford wigs. Sometimes they didn't have insurance. Sometimes insurance would only pay $75 for a wig. And they used to have a thing at this society where people who had died, they would turn in the wigs, and then women could get the wigs from dead people. And I said, if I lost my hair, that's not a route I would want to go.
Me either.
I would want to go. So all those women were helped, and that was a very good thing. That was a really good thing to do.
That is really good.
Made a difference for the women.
The timing of this, did you have cancer prior to the hair theater?
Yes.
Did that kind of inspire you to do hair theater?
It's really weird because I didn't put it together. I honestly didn't put it together. I started writing stories about my life, which I'm doing now with my memoir. And it just started, hair came into everything. Hair came into absolutely everything. So I thought this is something, you know.
Yeah.
I'd read about the vagina monologues.
I had gone to see that.
And I thought, well, if you can write about vaginas, you can write about hair. So I thought I'll base it all on hair, and people relate to it. And I asked the women in the audience, how many people like your hair tonight? Like your own? Like one person raises up their hair because everybody's mad at their hair.
Yeah, bad hair day. Oh.
And nobody can fire their hairdresser. And so I recommended that they write their own obituary, make it look like a newspaper, and send it to their hairdresser, and just pretend like they're dead, and then move on to the new hairdresser.
Oh, no, you're hilarious.
It's hard to quit it.
It is. You're locked in there. It's almost like this silent contract.
You got a connection. They know everything about you.
Oh, yeah.
You'll tell your hairdresser more than you'll tell your minister, priest, rabbi, or psychologist. You'll tell your hairdresser everything.
Yeah. So you're like, I can't leave you. We're in this for life. We're lifers.
They can call the National Enquirer and do you in.
That's right. That's right. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. But now, what's this?
There's some wedding hair. There's my wedding.
Oh my goodness.
And my dad. Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to know a little bit about in your bio. It does say that your dad was a World War II veteran.
Yeah.
And did he have post-traumatic stress disorder or mental health issues because of the war?
Yes. Yes. And I never knew what happened during the war until recently. And I got his psychiatric records from 1944 to the day he died in 1980. And it's going to be in my memoir. So I won't go into all the details of it. But what you just saw that Lynn put up is my wedding day, which was 50 years ago, Friday. So March 17th, 50 years ago, March 17th. And my dad was again in the psychiatric hospital up until that day. And the night before this wedding, he escaped. And so my mother sent Steve and I out looking for him in Columbus.
Oh my goodness.
At large.
The night before your wedding?
Before our wedding, because my mom would always deputize me. As soon as I got my driver's license, I was the one to have to go to the bar and pick him up at the keg room and drive him home, and which was a tough gig for a kid. But and it's a tough gig the night before you married. So to see him in the video and to know what we went through the night before, we weren't sure if he'd show up or what, but he showed up. But he was very mentally ill, psychotic, schizophrenic, and through my life, and depressed. And so in the memoir I'm writing, called Royal Roots, as a matter of fact, I talk about how the arts and storytelling and humor and dance and just writing things and TV and movies helped me through. So I had an imaginary life and my real life. And we were not to reveal any of this to anyone. And a lot of you out there will know what I'm I'm talking
Mhm.
about here.
Mhm.
You don't say anything to anybody outside this house. What's going on in here? So it was very hard and shameful because mental illness then, if you had mental illness in your family, it was a very shameful thing to
Mhm.
have. And so you did not discuss it. When my dad died tragically, and it was a big headline grabbing death, then people were shocked. They were like, my mother-in-law was shocked.
Wow.
She called my mom's house when we were all there gathered. She said, what in the hell is going on? Because it was on television and in the news. And I had to explain to her that my dad's very mentally ill, very mentally ill.
Oh, wow.
So I wanted to write this memoir to explain what happened, that we grew up with this, and what helped me. And then to discover what happened to him and putting that together with the family history, I now get why this was for him, because I kept thinking, this should not be like this. Something's wrong. So I heard about this castle in Wales, and it's the Wynn ancestral home. And Wynn is my maiden name, my family name. And it was associated with such shame through growing up. I had like the crazy dad. We don't know what's wrong with him, but he's a
Yeah.
crazy dad. It was like Boo Radley, that guy in their
Yeah.
house is crazy. So we went to visit this castle because I read a book about the renovation. This young couple, it's the Wynn ancestral home, and the Wynns in Wales were the princes and kings of Wales during the 1500s, and they were like the greatest people and the wealthiest people, and they were for the education and the arts. And I decided that I don't know if I have a direct line there, but after visiting there, I feel like I do. And that's why I call my book Royal Roots, because when I saw this, I completely changed my thinking about who I was.
Wow. Yeah.
I saw
can see
myself
that.
differently.
Mhm.
Instead of, I'm the kid of the crazy guy, I thought maybe there's more to us than that.
You're
Because
the kid of the royal roots, Pat.
Royal Roots,
That actually fits you, in my opinion, very well. To me,
thank
I feel, and I even before I knew any of this, one of the words I used to describe you to producer Lynn is she's very poised. You're witty without trying to be funny, and you're hilarious. It just comes. I mean, when I watched you in action, I was but very poised was also, and I know Catholic upbringing and all of that can also instill some of that in you, but you either have it or you don't, and you definitely have it. So that whole royal roots thing, that makes sense to
Thank
me.
you. I'm buying it. And also, interestingly, we have a lot of show business in our family. So I think there's a really fine line between, talent and crazy. And
Yeah.
so on both sides of my family. So my dad's cousin, who I was very close to, Mitchell Ryan, was on Dharma and Greg, and he was in the movies and Liar Liar. He just died recently, and I just loved him so much. And then my cousin Debbie and my aunt and uncle and cousin Robbie were a professional ice skating family act in Holiday on Ice. And then Debbie's son Taylor, who I adore too, became Frankie in Jersey Boys, and so he was in Toronto and Broadway. And a lot of artists, a lot of writers, a lot of poets, and I have a cousin who's a welding artist.
Yeah.
So there's that in there, but we have a lot of mental illness in our family as well. But who doesn't?
That's the truth.
Everybody's got a little something.
Right, everyone does. And now that it's not so taboo to talk about and it's recognized, thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
People can get the help that they need. Not even, I mean, I think we have a long way to go with it, but I can tell you, I think it's a lot better than obviously when your poor dad was struggling.
Oh, yes. And we do need to focus more on mental health and getting help. And I know that there's a higher incidence now with young people having depression and anxiety. And so I hope that we can all join forces and help each other and connect with each other.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing, Debbie, you and I, found a way to connect together. Then we connected with those women, and that kind of human connection, which we lose with all our devices and social media, that is a mental health booster. If you can, if you meet with another person and you talk out your problems, you're going to feel better.
I agree with that. And with mental health, with mental illness, a lot of times they isolate.
Yeah.
And when they finally let someone in and talk, it helps. So everything that you said makes so much sense to me.
Yes.
I love it. But I love also the comment, art helps heal.
Yes.
And you kind of already said it, but tell me again, from your point of view, how arts heal.
Because there's some things that you can't even put into words. And so you put it into a song. It may have words, but it's more of a poetry type of thing rather than this is what's wrong with me and I have to tell you. It's more poetry or a painting. And Edward Hopper said, if I could say it, I wouldn't paint it. It's a way to do that. I'm on a board at Ohio State. I'm on 2 projects there. One is the Medicine and the Arts Board. And we bring the arts in medical students themselves and the health science students and the staff in order to help their stress and their depression, because physician, heal thyself. And so an offspring of that is something we just did last night with the medical students who started a project at the prison, ORW, where they do women's health with a small group of women there. The project is called House Call. And then the women at ORW are called the Med Squad. And then we bring in the medical students, Zoom or in person, talk about women's health issues. And at the very end, the last 15 minutes, we do something called a dose of calm, DOC, doc. And it's an artist or a performer or an expert speaker in some field. And we do an artistic thing at the end. So last night we had Betsy DeFusco's paintings on a little slideshow, and everybody can just take a breath, because I have found that the way for me to heal all through my childhood and into adulthood was for me to dive into the arts, literally as a synchronized swimmer to dive into the arts, but also to get into reading and get into, I loved movies and music and my transistor radio, which people don't even know what that is anymore. And playing my records, my 45s, and dancing. When we were dancing kids, we in high school, we danced. We were dancing all the time. But dance to me, particularly now, ballet is just the greatest prayer.
Oh,
I can ever
that
utter.
is not an easy dance to do.
No.
And when you guys could see this lady's body, and not like I was checking you out, kind of. When I met you, I'm like, what the heck? Like, oh my gosh. And oh my gosh. I was like, this is incredible. And I want to say this to everyone listening too, because you already said how long you've been married.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just recently, yesterday, right? Or
Friday.
Friday.
March 17th, 50 years.
That's right. Yeah.
And I'm 71 years old.
I mean, okay. So now you said it.
Because I'm so tired of ageism that I could spit.
Yeah.
And I forget who the comedian was. Maybe Elaine Boozler said, if you don't tell your age, the terrorists win. I really, when people say, oh, I don't want to tell how old, I tell because the ageism, I think it's the last ism that's allowed to be, and you become invisible.
Yeah.
You become, and you couldn't possibly have a thought about this, and you couldn't possibly have a solution, and you don't know about these things, and it's really crazy.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also want to highlight the fact that you're doing ballet, you're writing a memoir, you do a charm school, you are on boards, you're in the arts, you are a doer and a goer and a traveler, and you are so smart and you're so beautiful, and your body looks like I mean, a very young person. Okay. And I feel like you are young. I mean, I'm not saying that you aren't, you know that, but it's just a testament to you are what you think you are. And you haven't stopped, and you continue to exercise, and you continue to dance, and you help people. And along the way, you help yourself. You're beautiful. And I feel like you're the poster child for aging gracefully for all of us women. So, if nothing else, and all the amazing things that you've shared tonight, you're beautiful, and you are an amazing example for women everywhere of what you can continue to be. Your age doesn't define you,
Yeah.
and it doesn't keep you from doing and creating and living a great life after any age, right?
Well, yeah, and your whole theme with this wonderful show is to find it, and every person has to find it for themselves. It's not people aren't going to everybody's not going to take ballet and do the things
Sure.
that I do, but they can find a way to be totally fulfilled no matter what stage of life you're in and no matter what's happened to you in life. And to be able to find it means to get quiet with yourself
Mm.
and perhaps talk to somebody else about it, perhaps talk professionally to somebody about it, or do a lot of self-help book reading like your book,
Mhm.
Debbie. And I'm a big bibliotherapy person as far as I want to know what other people
Yeah.
have advised. And I read a lot of memoirs and autobiographies because inevitably, don't we find out the person is like, and I didn't know a thing. And then I failed 47,000 times and I thought I was going to die. And then I lived and then I'm a big star. I love that. I love that
Yeah.
trajectory. I
Yeah.
love that. So, and we can learn from each other, just like on this show. We can learn how people do it and everybody does it differently. And if one person from today, or one person like the woman the other day from Ladies of Success who became the caterer, to me, that is life fulfillment. If I can change one person's life in my lifetime for the better, I have found it.
Yeah, you have. And you've changed my life. You really have. I so appreciate you. And I want to know when you think your memoir will be released.
Well, I'm still writing and revising, and I'm being very careful about it and mindful about it. And I have a woman working with me named Liz Hopkins who's doing some narrative analysis with me. And so I'm taking my time with it because
Good.
I enjoy working on it. It's
Mhm.
almost like I don't know, making the Great Wall of China. It's going to take some time,
Take
brick
your
by
time. It's
brick,
going to be a jewel.
stone by stone, making this Great Wall of China. And it changes all the time. It's a living organism. And now it's my friend. And the people at the Witter Castle, the Wynn Ancestral Home, know about my memoir.
Oh, good.
And yeah, and so they continue to be an inspiration to me with their Facebook page. And then also I put bits of their story into my story.
Oh,
So
that's really cool.
Witter goes all through the memoir. So it's a complicated tale. And I want to get it just right. But I I will be finishing this revision by next week of
Oh, wow.
the entire thing. This is my sixth, and then I'm going back through with Liz's corrections, and then it will be professionally edited. So it
That's
just
good.
takes a long time.
It does, and anything worth it, right? Takes some
Mhm.
time. Heather Bryant is a good friend of mine, and she put up here, so happy to hear that you love to share your age. Each year is a gift, and I'm always grateful for each birthday that I get to celebrate.
That's very good, Heather. It's true because people, what do they want to wish their life away and
Yeah, I know.
not not reach this stage?
Yeah.
No,
Well, I know. I could talk to you forever. I really do want to continue. I mean, we don't live that far away from one another. I want to like have coffee or lunch at
sure.
least once every once in a while because we can. And you feed my soul. I really enjoy you so much. And to wrap up, I want you to, if you can, um, just kind of like encapsulate what you have found in life that you can share to inspire us to find it too?
Well, I have found love, which is the most important thing to me. And I found it early. I was 14 and Steve was 15. And so we have been married 50 years. We got married when he was out of college. I was still in college. But I found love, and I found a good life. And I was able to conjure a life through the arts and then make it happen with Steve's help. And I have found so much laughter with friends and family and people like you, Debbie, and the women at the prison, and the women and men in my audiences. Laughter to me is the great elixir of life. And if you can find love and laughter, you've got everything.
That's amazing. I know. And I love to laugh. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Laughter is, and you are funny. I mean, we didn't get to really let that out too much during this show, but you should come back. You're just, you have such a wit about you, and you command that audience. It's just shocking that you had a phobia of being on stage, that you still feel like that. Some never would have known it. That's incredible too, that you're able to do what you do and kind of have a little bit of stage fright. I would have never known it.
Well, it's called acting.
See, you're a good one. You're a good one. Oh, goodness.
Thank you, Debbie. And thank you to all the listeners. And thank you, Lynn, the producer, too.
Yes, she's amazing. And I'm so blessed. And so we'll wrap this up. And I want everybody to know that you should just follow. You see her humor and her TikToks. Follow her on TikTok. I think, I don't know how long you've been on there, but I've just
a short period of time. I need to post more.
Yeah. So, and I was checking them out and I was like, oh man, she's good. So you guys go check her out, follow her, let her know that you see her. And I will be, whenever the memoir's out, you guys, I'll be sure to post it and promote it for her. And so everybody knows when to get it. I certainly will want a copy as well. So much love to you, Pat, and so much respect.
Thank you, Debbie.
Really, really enjoy you.
Thank you.
And Captain Steve. So, and with that, we're going to go, and I'll see y'all again next Wednesday, same time. Bye. Lynn.
That floats around me, keeping me